Hello there, Fro here with my first ever episode of what I'm going to be calling 4F, which is Fro's Fantasy Football Forecast, and that's a mouthful. I'm going to try to get these up every Wednesday. Basically, this format's going to be, I'm going to be looking at each game and, talking about the main players on each team, tell you who's worth starting and who shouldn't start, and, give you some fantasy tips on each game for that week that I'm doing it. This video would have been up yesterday, but I got a tooth pulled yesterday, so you definitely wouldn't be able to understand me yesterday, so that's why it's up today. I can actually talk today. Before I get any farther, though, I just want to say that I got triple digit views in my last football pick video, my first one of the season, and that's the first time I reached over 100 views since last year's Fro Rage on Kevin Durant joining the Warriors. So I appreciate all the support. I love all of you. I'm glad that you tune in, and hey, let's talk about some fantasy football. Now, this is nothing special. It's going to be a long video, so this is more like a podcast. So you don't really need to watch this YouTube video. You can just have it playing audio style, like a podcast, on your way home from work or your way to work or whatever. If you want to listen about fantasy football, it's just some guys who've been playing fantasy football for, God, I don't know, over half my life at this point. Let's see if we can win some leagues this year. How does that sound? Let's get right into it. Kansas City at New England tonight. Start of the season. Thank God the season's here. Start with the Chiefs. Alex Smith is a bye-week filling quarterback. That's all he is. If you somehow drafted Jameis and you need a bye-week filling, you could do worse than Alex Smith this week, I guess, because he's going to have to throw against New England. New England's going to be able to put up some points, so Alex Smith's going to have to throw. Kareem Hunt, he's a solid RB2, I think. This week, I wouldn't get my hopes up too high, because if they get into catch-up mode, I'm not sure how good a pass catcher Kareem Hunt is, and I think Terrence West is a better pass catcher anyway. And they said they're going to run a committee anyway, so it's probably best off just to avoid the Chiefs running back this week, unless you have to start Kareem Hunt. I guess he's okay as an RB2 or a flex play. That's fine. As far as Chiefs receivers go, you're starting Tyreek Hill. If you drafted him, you're pretty much going to start him. I mean, they're going to have to throw. And we'll see how he reacts to being their focal point in their offense now with no Macklin there to take pressure off him. See how he turns into a full-fledged receiver. You don't have to like the player or the person. You just have to root for your fantasy team. You don't have to root for him as a human being because we all know how much of a scumbag he is if you know anything about his past. But Tyreek Hill, solid starts. But you're drafted and you're going to be starting pretty much every week, unless you're in a super shallow league. Kelsey, top 3 tight end every week. You guys start him no matter what. Just imagine if you had a good quarterback, though. But Kelsey, you're starting every goddamn week, so I ain't telling you anything you don't already know. Patriots. I'm going to try to be restricted for these fantasy football. I'm not going to talk about how much I hate them and stuff, but Brady, surefire top 3 QB every week, so obviously you got to start him. No analysis there. Chiefs have pretty good defense, but at New England, Brady's got a good game. What a surprise. Who cares? I want nothing to do with the Patriots backfield like pretty much any year, and especially this year. Who knows what to expect from them? You got freaking Gillislee, James White, Deion Lewis, Burkhead. In deeper PPR formats, I can see starting James White maybe and Burkhead. They have PPR appeal, but I don't know. You're never going to be able to trust any of these running backs. Gillislee will probably get a rushing touchdown or two here because they always run the ball a lot when they're in the 5-yard line. Look at Blunt last year, where he had 16, 18 touchdowns. So I guess I don't trust any of these more than a flex play in deeper PPR leagues. And Gillislee, I guess, is okay as an RB2 or a flex play because he's going to probably get a touchdown or two, most likely. Gronk. He's a tight end 1 as long as he's healthy, so you're starting him every week. Nothing to fear here. The Chiefs linebackers are okay, but they're a little long with the tooth, especially Derrick Johnson and stuff. So you're firing Gronk every week, so you look for him to have a big game. As long as he's healthy, he's a tight end 1, and no argument about that. Pass catchers besides tight end, I mean, you pretty much can start most of them. Cooks is a surefire wide receiver 1. You're starting him every week. With the injury at Edmonton, I think Cook's got to get even more looks. Hogan, he's a solid, I think, wide receiver 3. In that area, 3-4. I think you're starting him in most leagues, too. Amendola, maybe a really deep league, PPR. Nothing better than that. I think that's about his ceiling until we see some actual action. Because this is week 1. Who knows what's going to happen? Week 1's always the craziest week for fantasy because you never know what to expect. But, I mean, you're starting Gronk. You're starting Cooks. You're starting Hogan in most leagues too. Amendola is a deep league PPR play. Other than that, I'm pretty much avoiding any other receivers because that's pretty much it. Defenses. I mean, I'm not gonna really go too high in the defenses here, but you pretty much want to avoid both defenses in this game. I mean, Patriots might be okay, but I think the Chiefs are gonna be able to put up points too. Avoid defenses in this lane. Kansas City will be good most weeks, but not this week. Speaking of just, this is going to be a quick one. Jets at the Bills. Jets, you're not starting anyone except Bilal Powell and Forte. Bilal Powell, I think, is a solid RB2. Forte is probably an RB2 also, / flex play. They're both going to be good in PPR leagues. Who else is going to catch the ball? It's going to be these two catching the balls out of the backfield a lot. There's going to be a lot of checkdowns. This offense is going to be horrendous to watch, but you're not starting McCown, not even in the deepest of leagues. I mean, if you have to start McCown this week, good luck with that. Excuse me. As far as receivers and tight ends go, Severius Jenkins is fucking suspended for, I think, the first 2 games. You wouldn't want to start him anyway. Robbie Anderson, I guess, is somewhat startable in deeper leagues just because one of these wide receivers has to catch the ball besides the running backs. But I would wait and see if anything besides the running backs on the Jets are worth starting. Defense lost Sheldon Richardson. Ugh. It's a dumpster fire team. You start Powell, start Forte in most leagues. Other than that, avoid the Jets at all costs. But stream defenses that play the Jets. The Bills are a very good streaming defense this week, and any defense plays Jets, if they're on the waiver wire, pick them up because the Jets are going to be historically bad in offense this year. Bills, looks like Tyrod's going to play. I don't expect much from the Bills other than McCoy to get an absolute metric shit ton of carries and touches in general. McCoy is a surefire RB1 as long as he's healthy. I mean, he's going to get fed the rock till he pukes, just like Doug Marrone said back in the day by CJ Spiller. McCoy's going to get the ball a lot. I mean, other than that's offense, Tyrod Taylor is an okay in 2 quarterback leagues. That's about it. Their weapons are thin, and he's coming off concussion. So I like Tyrod, but the Bills don't like him for whatever reason. So I just don't expect much from him. Start McCoy, no matter what. Zay Jones, a deep league PPR play. I think he's got a good year because someone has to catch the balls, and with Sammy Watkins gone and Woods gone, look for Zay Jones to have a good season, but mostly in deeper PPR leagues. I wouldn't start him just yet. Just wait to see what goes on. Matthews, I'm not sure if he's going to play or not. And even if he does play, he's going to take a while to get used to the offense. I would avoid him for the time being. And like I said, Bills defense, start him. Stream him, whatever, start him. Atlanta, Chicago. You're starting Matt Ryan. You draft him as a QB1. I don't think he's going to be as prolific as he was last year, but I think he's going to be a pretty damn quarterback this year. Probably at least top 7, I would say, in fantasy points this year. You're starting Matt Ryan. You're starting Devontae Freeman. You're starting Julio Jones. I mean, I ain't telling you anything special here. I mean, Chicago's defense has some decent young players on it, but they're still a year or 2 away from being anything special. So start every Falcon mainstay, as in the triplets, with confidence. I avoid Tevin Coleman. I think Tevin Coleman takes a back seat this year. I think the touchdowns go down and everything. He's just a handcuff at this point. So if you have Freeman, make sure you try to get Coleman as a handcuff. Like I said, Julio's our max start. He's a top 2 receiver in the leagues and in fantasy. You're starting him every week, barring injury. Hooper, Austin Hooper, I think is a good deeper tight end. Has a lot of analysts talk about how he's going to be one of the sleepers this year. I think it's a good pick. I think now that Tammy's gone, it's all Hooper's job, and Hooper showed some flashes last year. Hooper's a good a good tight end in that group behind like the top 7 or so. There's you get past like the top 5 or so tight ends, and then it's just a bunch of guys that all have like upside but no high floor. They're going to be up and down. I think Hooper's going to be one of those this year. But against Chicago, I mean, you pretty much started the offensive player. Sanu, I guess in deeper leagues, in a bad start, but Your surefire starting Julio, Matt Ryan, Devontae Freeman, Hooper in deeper leagues. Other than that, it's new, maybe in deeper leagues, but that's about it. Chicago, Glennon is starting. Avoid him. Just avoid him. I feel bad for Glennon because he's not going to have the job for long, but he hasn't shown really much anyway, other than being a tall dude with a cannon and no athleticism whatsoever. It's only a matter of time till Trubisky starts playing. I think he's going to be okay, but Bears, you're starting Jordan Howard. That's the only Bear you're starting with any confidence. Receiver is just oof. Meredith, I thought was going to have a great year, but he's out for the season. Kevin White in deeper leagues, I guess he's starting, but this is another team where you want to wait and see who emerges as a receiver for them. But it's pretty much the Jordan Howard show, and I wouldn't start any other Bear besides him. Yeah, not even in deep leagues I would start Glennon. As far as defenses go for this game, both aren't very good. Atlanta has some young stars, but they still gave a lot of points last year, so they might be okay. This is one of the better weeks you guys want to start them because they're playing an inferior team like Chicago. But both these defenses aren't ideal, so I would try to avoid them at all costs. Baltimore, Cincinnati, Flacco's back. You don't start him. He's a QB2 in 2 QB leagues. That's about it. And even then, he's a low in one. He throws a lot of passes every year, but doesn't throw many touchdowns. Throws a lot of turnovers. I wouldn't, especially coming off an injury. I'd avoid Flacco. Terrence West, I think, is a solid RB2 flex running back for this week. I think he's going to get a lot of carries this year with Kenneth Dixon out for the season. And they're going to try to throw the ball more to running backs with Juszczyk on. They don't have that fullback anymore, so that Flacco likes to dink and dunk. So I think West will get some catches this year, but this week's okay to start them. But Bengals defense is, they're okay. But West, I think, is a solid RB2/flex for this week. Baltimore defense, I think, is a pretty good play this week. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. Those division games between that division are always, smash-mouth games. Ravens got a good defense this year. They're a good defense to start pretty much every week, unless they're playing like a Patriots on. Excuse me. That's about it for Baltimore. Oh, Justin Tucker, probably one of the top 3 kickers. There you go. I talked about kickers. Start them every week. Cincinnati, Dalton is a sneaky good fantasy quarterback. He's on the back end of the QB1s and the start of the QB2s. He's in that 8 to 12 range as long as he stays healthy. I mean, he's got AJ Green. As long as he's got AJ Green, he can help any quarterback. So I think Dalton's a solid start for this week. I mean, Ravens defense is pretty good, but Dalton has AJ Green, and they don't really have anybody who can stop AJ Green one-on-one. And that's about it. I don't know what to do with the running back situation in Cincinnati. I mean, they say that Jeremy Hill is still a starter, and they have Mixon listed as the third string. I know Bernard's going to be the pass-catching back. That's what he does. So in deeper PPR leagues, he's an okay play for that because he is their pass-catcher back. Jeremy Hill is just not good. I don't understand why he keeps getting carries. Oh, I understand. Because Marvin Lewis is still the coach, and it's baffled me that he still has a job. He's like a twice as long tenured Chuck Pagano at this point. I just don't understand how they have jobs. Anyway, Jeremy Hill, he could fall in the end zone. That's about it. So maybe he might be okay for a flex play. Or hopefully he falls in the end zone. That's about it. There's no upside with him. He showed flashes his rookie year, but he has just been awful since. And I avoid him at all costs. Mixon, you're pretty much gonna have to wait and see. I have him in a couple leagues, and I don't think I'm gonna start him this week because you just don't know what to expect since he's listed third on the depth chart. But eventually, hopefully, he gets their senses and realize that Jeremy Hill is not the answer. That's all I can say. Eifert, is he going to play? Is he not going to play? He's one of those guys that's on the injury report every freaking year. And if he's playing, you're starting him. Every week that he's healthy, you're starting him. He has the talent and the touchdown upside. Because other than AJ Green, who else do they got to throw balls to for a touchdown? AJ Green, you're starting every week. Top 5 receiver, obviously. As long as he's healthy, he's top 5 receiver. You're starting every week. Nothing scary about this matchup. I mean, Ravens a good defense, but AJ Green is pretty much matchup proof. He's pretty solid against anybody. Bengals defense, pretty good play this week. Flacco's got good for a turnover or 2 every week, and they don't really score a lot of points. So Bengals defense, good solid option for this week. As far as other receivers go for Bengals, no thanks. Maybe Boyd has some deep PPR value later on this year, but I'm waiting to see what happens there. and and Ross is out for the first week. So just AJ Green, Eifert if he's healthy, and that's about it as far as pass catchers go. Next game, Pittsburgh Cleveland. I'm gonna try to do this a little faster. Going along here. You're starting Ben. You're starting Brown. You're starting Bell. You're always starting triplets as long as they're healthy, and especially this week. Nothing scares you about Cleveland's defense. I think Cleveland's an improving team, but that defense still needs a lot of work. So you're starting triplets no matter what. The tight end, you're avoiding tight end. And Jesse James, he'll have a few weeks this year where he does something good, but nothing you can trust and worth starting every week. So avoid Pittsburgh's tight end at all costs. As far as other receivers go besides Antonio Brown, Antonio Brown's the only one we're starting. I don't care. You can keep your other receivers. Brown, you're starting every week. The other receivers do it here and there. Who you guys start? You guys start Hayward Bay? Really? I avoid them. Antonio Brown will have a huge year. Start him every week. Cleveland, I think Kaiser has some potential, but you're avoiding him in this week and just until you see what he does in real NFL games. Pretty much the only Browns player you want to play pretty much every week is Isaiah Crowell. I think Crowell's got a really good year because that offensive line got beefed up to all hell during the offseason. I would say they did a hell of a job on the offensive line. I think Crowell has a very big year. They're going to try to run the ball a lot. Hugh Jackson loves to run the ball. Look for Crowell to have a big year, and you're nothing scary about Pittsburgh's defense because it's been a while since the steel curtain's been there. Starting Crowell every week. Duke Johnson, deeper PPR leagues. He's a flex maybe in deeper PPR leagues. That's about it. Corey Coleman, I like him in dynasty leagues, but just until you see what you get from Kaiser in a real game, I just avoid any pass catcher on this team besides maybe Duke Johnson in deeper leagues. And that's about it for the Browns. You're starting Crowell. That's about it. Defenses, and Pittsburgh ain't too bad this week because, rookie quarterback got his first start. He's probably got a turnover too, at least. So maybe they're a good streamer this week, but they've probably been drafted because people still think they're the elite defense from like 5 years ago. Oh, boy. Arizona, Detroit. This should be a good game. Carson Palmer is one of those quarterbacks that are good to piggyback off of if you took luck in any draft. And you got someone like Carson Palmer. He's a good fill-in because he has a very easy schedule at the beginning of the year until luck hopefully gets back. Oh, please, God. Please let him play this year at some point soon. Palmer, Detroit's defense doesn't scare you at all. Palmer's a good play this week. Fitzgerald, you start him every week. He's the ageless wonder. Until he shows that he can't do it anymore, you're starting him every week, especially in PPR leagues. He's fantastic in PPR leagues. David Johnson, RB1. He's one of the top 1 or 2 running backs in the league, depending if you look at him or Bell as the best one. As long as he's healthy, you're starting him every week. You're never scared of it. He's got a humongous year as long as he stays healthy. He's going to get a lot of catches, a lot of touches. Look for a big year for David Johnson. You're nothing scary about Detroit defensively, so yeah, roll him out there. As far as other receivers in the Cardinals, John Brown, I like John Brown as a deeper league flyer this week. I think he's flown under the radar. He's finally healthy, and I think whenever he's on the field, he can go a distance. So he's a good dart throw, like wide receiver 4 or flex play this week. I think he has a good week this week and a good year if he stays healthy. Everybody else, Jerron Brown, I want nothing to do with that. It's Fitzgerald and then John Brown in some leagues. Excuse me. As far as Detroit goes, Stafford is he puts up yards and he's a good NFL quarterback, but he's not great for fantasy. He doesn't throw touchdowns like he used to. He's never really thrown a lot of touchdowns, put it that way, I'll be honest. He has low upside, a decent floor. He's a QB2 in most of my opinion, and he's probably one of the better QB2s you can get on your team if you're in a 2 QB league. So, Arizona's defense is pretty good though. They're on the road, but I would avoid Stafford this week in most leagues. QB2, that's about it. Abdullah, no, I want nothing to do with the Lions' backfield all season. Riddick has appeal in deeper PPR leagues because he is one of the best pass-catching backs in the league, but he has very little upside. He's like a solid 6-7 catch-a-week guy, and hardly gets any carries and hardly ever gets touchdowns. So in deeper leagues with PPR, he's okay. But that's about it. Golden Tate, I think, is a very underrated receiver. In PPR, he's fantastic. You start him every week in PPR. He's a wide receiver. He's a high-end wide receiver, too, in my opinion, in PPR. And in standard leagues, he's probably more of like a lower-end wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3. But I think he's good. You're starting him, no matter what league you have in. Just hopefully it's not your wide receiver 1, because then you waited a little bit. But even then, it's not too bad. And Marvin Jones had that humongous start last year and then went gone. And I just don't trust anybody in this offense. Ebron, if he can ever stay healthy for a goddamn full year, might have potential. But you're starting Golden Tate, you're starting Stafford in 2 QB leagues, and you're starting Reddick in deep PPR leagues, and you're avoiding everybody else. Defenses for this game, Arizona, you're pretty much going to start every week. That's pretty good defense. And Detroit can put up some points sometimes, but I just don't see it. They're more a ball control offense at this point, and I think Arizona's a good start. Detroit, I avoid this week at all costs. Oakland and Tennessee could be the game of the week, the under the radar game of the week, and a lot of fancy points to be loving here. Derek Carr, I would say in the 8 to 10 range QBs of fantasy this year. So if you have him, he's going to be your starter. I start him this week. Tennessee's pass defense is nothing special. It should be better than last year, but that's their weakness. Carr showed a big week. Lynch, I don't know what to expect from him in actual game action. I think his touchdown upside is so high because the Raiders have a good offense, and he's going to be their bell cow again near the goal line, which he should have been in that Super Bowl for the Seahawks. But we ain't going to talk about that right now. Lynch is a surefire bet to have a higher than 50% chance of scoring a touchdown every week. So if you have him, you're starting him. He doesn't have a whole lot of upside at this point in his career. He's not going to break off big carries anymore. But I think he's a solid running back. More of like an RB2, I'd say. But the touchdown upside with him is one of the highest in the league. So in standard leagues, he's a monster for touchdowns because that's not PPR and all that. So I like that. Cooper, you're starting him. He's a wide receiver, he's a top 20 wide receiver in fantasy, so you're starting him every week. Crabtree is also good, and until he shows that he can't do it anymore, you're starting him every week too as like a wide receiver 3. I think this is the year where Cooper starts taking more of the red zone targets from Crabtree, but who knows? They're both good receivers. They're both startable, and nothing scares me about Tennessee's pass defense, so you're starting them this week. And as far as anything else in that team goes, you're not starting tight ends. You're not starting any running backs. That's pretty much it. Tennessee, as long as Mariota is healthy, he's a good fantasy quarterback, and absolutely nothing scares me about Oakland's defense outside Khalil Mack. I mean, the rest of that defense is question marks and young guys, and yeah, Mariota, as long as he's healthy, is a solid quarterback. I would say, he's a back end QB1, and this week I think he has potential to be a top 5 performance. I just think that if they actually let him run this year, more like he should be running, and he learns to protect himself better, I think he's got a huge year. I think this is a big week for him. I start him if you have him this week, absolutely. Demarco Murray, he's a beast. As long as he's healthy, you're starting him, and Derrick Henry is probably one of the top handcuffs in this league in the NFL this year. But as long as Murray's healthy, you're starting him. Absolutely. Henry, I wouldn't start in any league. Just he's a handcuff at this point with huge upside if Murray ever gets hurt, which he has a history of, but he stayed healthy last year, surprisingly. Pass catchers, Rishard Matthews was an unsung wide receiver 2 last year, basically, and I think he still has potential, but now there's more mouths to feed there, and with Corey Davis, I think he's supposed to play. I'm pretty sure he's supposed to play. I really can't trust any of these receivers as a surefire start this week. I mean, I guess Matthews maybe, and Decker. There's just so many mouths to feed. I mean, you're better off avoiding these receivers, is what I'm trying to say at this point. Wait and see with the receiving core until a couple weeks maybe. See who is like the favorite for Mariota. But Delaney Walker, you're starting every week. Old man Walker, until he needs a Walker that doesn't play anymore, I think you're starting him. An unsung tight end hero that's been top 10 tight end for like how many years now in a row. You're starting him as long as he's healthy. As long as that old man can keep doing it, he's a tight end 1 every week. Defense for this game, avoid him. Just avoid him. No, absolutely not. Tampa Bay at Miami, I'll let you know in week 11. Philly at Washington. Wentz, Wentz has a tight end, has a quarterback one upside this week, I think, because Washington's defense isn't anything special. I think Wentz is better this year than he was in the second half last year. They got some weapons finally for him. I think Wentz is a good QB too. Starts this week in 2 QB leagues, and I mean, if you have nothing better, he's a back end QB one for this week. But I think he has some upside this week, especially against Washington's defense. Running backs, ugh. I mean, you hear all these reports about Blunt's he's going to get cut and all this stuff, but he's still on the roster, and if nothing else, he can get touchdowns. So they get opportunities, and in standard leagues, Blunt's probably worth starting just because he has a chance for a touchdown every week because that's what he does. He's a big boy, so he can get in the end zone anytime. I mean, Sproles is another one that's ageless wonder, and deeper PPR leagues, he's still worth starting until he shows that he can't do it anymore. That old little bastard can still play. Ertz, I think, is this the year that Ertz finally breaks out to his full potential? You see flashes the last couple of years, and I just don't know. I think he's a solid back-end tight end one this week, but he's in that mix. Once you get past the Gronks and the Kelseys and the Olsons and all that, he's in that whole bunch of guys that are all around the same area, so you're pretty much just throwing darts at that point. Jeffrey gets Josh Norman this week. I think Jeffrey has a good year. I think Jeffrey's a good receiver as long as he's healthy. That's his biggest bugaboo is him staying healthy. I'm avoiding him this week. I know he's going to be a wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2 for most teams, but I just don't like him against Josh Norman this week, so I'm avoiding him. Sorry. Eagles defense, I thought they'd be pretty good last year. They weren't that great, and this year I just don't know what to expect yet. Redskins at home, you're avoiding the Eagles defense unless you absolutely have to start them. As far as Redskins go, Kirk Cousins is a solid back-end QB1 every week. You're going to start him. He's going to throw for a lot of yards. Hopefully he can do better in the red zone this year and get more touchdowns because they had a bunch of times last year where they had to settle for field goals or he threw a pick in the end zone, or the red zone, I mean. Cousins, you're starting every week. You draft him most likely as a back-end QB1, so you're starting him. Fat Rob, one of the best nicknames in football, by the way. I think he has touchdown upside too. He's very similar to Blunt, except a lot younger. Both can't catch a pass to save their life. So in standard leagues, they have more appeal. In PPR leagues, he's not that great. He's more of a flex play in PPR leagues. In standard, he's a running back too, I think. And touchdown upside's there. He can, if nothing else, fall forward. So Jordan Reed, if he plays, you're starting him. Very similar to Gronk. They're like the top 2 tight ends when they're healthy. You're starting them every week as long as they're healthy. Ride them till the wheels fall off. That's all I can tell you about them. And nothing scares you about this matchup. So Reed's pretty much matchup proof, just like Gronk. You're playing them every week. If they're on the field, you're playing them. Now, as far as receivers go, we got a new addition, Terrelle Pryor, who surprised everybody last year with his ability as a wide receiver. And I think this is a great pickup for the Redskins. And I think he has a pretty big year. I think they finally got a nice big Renzo target besides Jordan Reed. And I look for Terrell Pryor to have a good season, and I think he has a good week this week. Nothing really scary about the Eagles secondary. That was one of their weaknesses last year. You're starting Pryor pretty much every week. He's a good, solid, top-end wide receiver 2, I think. Maybe mid to wide receiver 2, but I think he's a good start this week. You're starting him. And other receivers, I mean, Crowder, it's like a wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4. I don't think he has the same touchdown upside he has last year. I think he definitely regresses in that. But in deeper leagues, you're starting him, and especially in PPR leagues. Doxson, you're going to wait and see. I mean, yeah, everybody else avoid. Washington's defense, avoid pretty much every week, and I wouldn't start him this week either. Jacksonville, Houston. Speaking of teams that you should stream defenses against, let's talk about the Jaguars. Well, Bortles, the dumpster, Bortles, the trash can, couldn't get beat out by Chad Henne, the dumpster, in one of the worst QB battles in modern NFL history. So much talent on that team besides the quarterback. If they had a good quarterback, they'd be a scary team, but luckily as a Colts fan, they don't. Anyway, Bortles, he somehow is fantasy relevant every year because he's the garbage time hero, but the Houston's defense at home with the Hurricane back them, like fortifying that team, do not start Bortles this week. I would avoid him at all costs. If he blows it up, then whatever. I wouldn't start him in any league of any size. Fournette, he's supposed to be healthy. I think he's got to get a lot of work. So on volume alone, you're starting him every week until he gets hurt. Other running backs don't matter. They're just handcuffs. Yeldon's probably the better handcuff at this point. Excuse me. We gotta look good. Allen Robinson, one of the biggest flops from last year, who is just mired in bad quarterback play. I mean, I love the player, love the athlete. I think he's a great player, but he can't throw the ball to himself. So until Bortles improves, which will probably never happen, or they get a new QB, Robinson is a low upside wide receiver 3 in my book, and I guess you have to start him if you drafted him, but don't expect the world. Hearns is falling completely out there. Don't start him in any league. He's like 4th on the receiver chart now, behind D.D. Westbrook and Lee. But I'm not starting any of the receivers. Allen Robinson, if you have to, you got to start on, then whatever. Tight end, nope. Jags are just avoidable. Their defense has some appeal this week because, Savage isn't a great quarterback, and the Jaguars do have a good young defense, but you got to think about how many times they're going to be put in bad situations because of their offense. So I like their defense, but their upside is limited with the bad quarterback play behind it. Houston, you ain't starting Savage. Sorry, you ain't starting him. Lamar Miller had a lot of volume last year, but very low efficiency. But you probably draft him as your QB2 or wide running back 2, so you're starting him. I mean, the Jaguars defense have to have some players on it, so I don't see much upside for Miller this week. But on volume alone, I guess you got to start him. Fedorowicz was a pretty good tight end last year. He's in that pile up back there from like 8 to 16 of tight ends. So in deeper leagues, you're probably starting him. But other than that, he's a bench player or a streamer for bye weeks. DeAndre Hopkins, very much like Allen Robinson last year, just had his value torpedoed by horrendous quarterback play. I look for him to have bounce back year this year, but against Jalen Ramsey, I think is a bad matchup. But you're starting Hopkins if you draft him every week pretty much, so you're starting him. Houston defense is probably a top 3 defense this week, so you're starting them. Pretty much you're starting them every week, but with J.J. Watt back and at home against Bortles, yeah, I'll take some of that action. Seattle at Green Bay. This is a pretty easy game to do. You're starting Wilson. You're starting Baldwin. You're starting Jimmy Graham. Nothing scares you about the Green Bay defense. They were not very good last year, and I don't see them getting any better this year. But the running back situation, if Rawls is questionable, I think as of right now. If he doesn't play, I guess Lacy is worth starting because Fat Lacy can fall in the end zone a couple times, but you don't know what the rule is going to be there. Procise is more of a stash right now. I think he has a lot of upside as a PPR deep league, but he's a stash at this point. You're not starting him yet. Baldwin, you're starting every week. I like Lockett as a sleeper this year, and I think he has a lot of potential too, but he also has to stay healthy, and I also want to see how they use him back if they don't want to overuse him or whatever, and if he still uses a kick returner, which is more chance for injury. I like him as a guy that it should be startable soon, hopefully, but I wouldn't start him this week. And Seattle defense, you're starting every week. This week you're not too thrilled about it because you're going against Aaron Rodgers at Green Bay, but if you drafted Seattle, you had to take a higher pick than other people to get him, so you're starting him every week. Green Bay, are you guys start Rodgers? Yes. Even if this was at Seattle, you're not benching Rodgers ever. Ever. Not never. And at home, I think Rodgers has a good week. He's a top 3 quarterback every single week of fantasy. You're starting him with confidence. Ty Montgomery, can he handle the full workload of being a running back this year? Obviously, he has some pass catching skills because he was a receiver before. So I think Montgomery has high upside this year, but I just don't know if he can take a full workload. So if you have him, play him while you can, because who knows how long they hold up. And Seattle's defense is obviously good, but I think on touches alone, especially in PPR, Montgomery's a solid running back this week. You're starting Jordy Nelson. I mean, high-end wide receiver 1. As long as he's healthy, him and Rodgers are guaranteed to get double-digit touchdowns every year between the two of them to each other. You're starting Jordy Nelson every week. I mean, yeah, it's Sherman and all that, but I don't care. You're starting Jordy every week. Monte Adams, Came out of nowhere last year, finally showed off his potential, and I like him this week. I think especially with Sherman probably on Nelson a lot. I think that Monte Adams gets a lot of catches. PPR leagues is a very good play this week, and I think in general it's a good play all season. You're starting Monte Adams. Cobb, I'm avoiding him this week. I think he has potential. I think he's a starter in deeper leagues for most of the year, but this week I'm avoiding him against Seahawks, and just there's too many mouths to feed and stuff now. So I'm avoiding Cobb. As far as the tight ends, you got Bennett, Martellus Bennett. Can't really stand the dude, but it's just his fantasy alone. He has potential, but the Packers just don't use the tight ends. And against the Seahawks, no, I'm avoiding Bennett this week. Maybe he plays well this year, but Rodgers just doesn't really utilize his tight ends. I know he hasn't had many good ones besides Jermichael Finley for like a year or two, but until I see it, I'm staying with Bennett. I guess if you drafted him as a low end tight end one, you're starting him. But yeah, Green Bay defense, I wouldn't start him any week. I would definitely start him this week, so avoid them. Carolina, San Francisco. You're starting Cam. I mean, yeah, he's come off injury and all that, but he's a back end QB1 this year. I don't think he'll ever get back to 2 years ago as far as that dominating season. But if you have him, you're most likely starting him. And against San Francisco, what scares you about that team? That pretty much nothing. McCaffrey, everybody's darling rookie this year. Everybody's picking him as the rookie of the year candidate. They have a playbook just designed specifically for him, apparently. So he's a good flex play, and PPR is fantastic. I think he's going to be awesome this year as long as he can stay upright. He's more of a smaller back, but he's proven that he can run between tackles too, so I think he'll be fine. So McCaffrey, I like this year, and I think he has huge upside. And if you have him, you're starting him, especially against San Francisco. Kelvin Benjamin has one of the weakest cornerback schedules of the entire NFL this year. And starting this week, you're starting Kelvin Benjamin every week. Let's just put it that way. His matchups are never going to be bad, and he's a huge mofo. He's going to be a touchdown monster all year. As long as he's healthy, you're starting Kelvin Benjamin. So, yeah, against San Fran, yeah. Olsen, top 3 tight end. Top 5. He's right behind Gronk and Kelsey and Reed, but he's absolutely, if they're 1A, he's 1B. Olsen, you're starting every week. Nothing scares you with the matchup. You're starting every week. Jonathan Stewart, I guess he has a chance to vulture some touchdowns, but I just don't see what his role is going to be anymore. I mean, I think he'll still get some carries, but he's not a pass catcher, so his upside is very low. Maybe a chance for a touchdown, but I wouldn't start him in any league. San Fran, you're not starting Hoyer. Hoyer has shown flashes last couple of years, but he can't stay healthy, and I think Carolina defense starts to bounce back this year from last year. And no, you're not starting Hoyer. You're not. Carlos Hyde is about. Carlos Hyde and Garcon are the only startable ones here, but you got a tough matchup for Garcon. In PPR, I'm starting Garcon this week. I don't care. I'm starting Garcon in PPR. They'll find a way to get him catches. And who else are they going to throw it to? I mean, who else are they going to throw it to? Bruce Ellington? Yeah, no thanks. And that's about it for the Niners. There's nothing there besides Carlos Hyde and Garcon. Avoid them at all costs. Good stream defenses against them. And their defense ain't worth starting. Next game. Giants at Dallas. I would say as of right now that I don't think Odell's going to play. So look for Marshall to have a big week this week. I think he's banged up too, but he plays through injuries. And he's a big guy, big target. If Eli's got touchdown passes, most likely coming his way. Evan Ingram, he's a deep league stash. And Dynasty League, I like him in Dynasty Leagues. But he ain't starting him anytime soon. Rookie tight ends is one of the worst positions for rookies to transition from in year one. Avoid him. Eli, he'll give you some good games and some bad games, but he is so hard to trust, and he's good for a turnover almost every week and for some good facial expressions. But at Dallas defense is just yucky. Ugh. I think Eli's fine this week as a back end QB1, high end QB2. But he's so hard to trust. He's so derpy. Giants defense is a very good defense, but At Dallas, I might avoid him this week, but you're pretty much going to be starting them most weeks. So if you got to roll them, you got to roll them. Dallas, Dak, who I think was vastly overrated last year, but was still a good fantasy quarterback for what he is. I think we'll have a bigger workload this year. If ever Elliott gets suspended, Elliott's playing definitely week 1. So Dak, I think, is a back end QB1, more likely QB2 for this week. I think they're gonna ride Elliott while they have him. So if you have this is a good week to start Elliott because who knows when he's gonna be suspended. But any week that Elliott's not suspended, you're starting him. No matter what you think about the guy as a person, he's got a huge game pretty much anytime he's out there. I mean, that O-line's not as good as it was, but it's still a very good O-line. So you're starting Ezekiel Elliott every week. McFadden's the best, probably the top 3 handcuff right now, and he's going to be a starter most likely 6 weeks sometime this year, unless the thing gets pushed off till next year. So stash McFadden on your bench and try to trade for him if you have Elliott. Do whatever you can to get him if you have Elliott. Dez is one of the most overrated wide receivers in fantasy. I think he's a good NFL receiver, but he doesn't get the throws to him as much as other top receivers do. And I just think that where he goes in drafts is way higher than he should be going. And if you have him, you're starting him. He's a matchup nightmare, but he just doesn't get the targets. And so you're going to be starting him every week. But I just think that he's overvalued and overrated in fantasy. I think he's a good NFL player, overrated in fantasy. Beasley, you're starting him in PPR leagues. He's the safety blanket, him and Witten. But it's more Beasley at this point in his career. Terrence Williams, I want nothing to do with. Just no, absolutely not. Witten is the king of no upside at this point. Has a decent floor. He's a bye-week fill at this point in his career. I love Witten. I love his career, but he has no explosiveness left. Not that he had any to begin with, but he's pretty much just a plodder out there. He can get you like 4 to 5 catches a week. So in PPR leagues, he's fine. He has a decent floor, but pretty much no upside. It's just love Witten the player, but for fantasy, he's fine. Dallas defense, no, never, not any week, not this week. No, thank you. New Orleans at Minnesota. You're starting Breeze every week. You're starting Michael Thomas every week. I think Michael Thomas will have a big year now with Cook's gone. You're never starting Fleener. I mean, you would think that team that made Benjamin Watson look awesome, that Fleener could do well last year, and he had 2 good games, and the rest of the year was just he was even playing. He had a rushing touchdown last year. I'm avoiding Fleener. I'm avoiding most Saints players other than Thomas and Breeze. You're starting Breeze every week until the wheels fall off him too. You're playing him. He's amazing. I think he's a very underrated quarterback in history, and he's probably one of the best fantasy quarterbacks ever. So you're starting every week. Starting Thomas every week. Avoid Fleener. The running backs, I just do not know what to expect here. I think this week that Peterson might get more work than he might in any other week because he wants to stick it to his old team. But Minnesota's defense is pretty damn good. Not good enough that I don't think that Breeze will still have a good week, but I think good enough to shut down Peterson and Ingram. So, I mean, I don't know who's going to get the catches too. They might both split pass catching duties, but I think Ingram's a better pass catcher than people give him credit for, and he should be the pass catching back, but excuse me. I'm avoiding this running back situation for this week. Minnesota at home, one of the best defenses in the league. Avoid that. And as far as Saints defense, when was the last time the Saints defense was startable in fantasy? Was there a Super Bowl year in 2009? Because that's about it. Yeah. Minnesota, Bradford's fine for QB2 in 2 QB leagues. And I have to start him in a couple leagues because of injuries, because I took luck. And I'm fine with Bradford. And this is a great matchup against the Saints. The Saints defense is horrendous. It's been horrible for forever. And Bradford, he's fine. He's a fine filler. He's a fine bench player. He's a fine QB2. Doesn't have a lot of upside, but he's accurate, and he'll find a way to get some fantasy points. You could do worse than Bradford as far as a backup or a fill-in or a streamer goes. Dalvin Cook, I think he's got a big year. I think he's probably one of the top 3 rookies for this year as far as fantasy goes. Probably only behind McCaffrey and as far as running backs go, with chances for a workload at least. Another scheduled matchup. Start Dalvin Cook. Latavius Murray. He has chance for vulture touchdowns, but that's about it. I don't think he's that great, and I just think that Dalvin Cook's going to be a bell cow. Rudolph, I would say, is the top tier of the second tier tight ends. I think huge touchdown potential, because who else is there that is that big is going to catch touchdowns? Rudolph is a monster as far as size goes. As long as he's healthy, you're starting Rudolph pretty much every week, and nothing scares about this matchup. Receivers, Diggs is great for PPR, and Thielen has deeper league value, like a wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4. Diggs is probably got wide receiver 3 in PPR, maybe like a back end wide receiver 2. I like them both. They both had limited touchdown upside, but as far as PPR leagues go, I think they're both good players, and I think you can start them pretty much every week as a wide receiver 3 or wide receiver 4 flex. Vikings defense is going to be startable every week. This week might be the one week you might want to go, but Breeze on the road, I think you'll still be fine with Vikings defense starting this week. The Chargers at the Broncos. Rivers, I think, is a good fantasy quarterback. I think he's kind of overrated as an NFL quarterback, but I think he's fine for fantasy. But I'm not starting him this week unless you absolutely have to, because Denver's pass defense is legit, and their defense in general is just ridiculous. I know that the Broncos might give up some short fields because their offense ain't that great, but you're starting. You're not starting Rivers against them with any confidence. He might find a way to do something, but same Melvin Gordon. He's going to be an every week RB1 as long as he's healthy, but this is not a good matchup. But if you have him, you're playing him. You ain't going to be benching him in week 1 already. Pass catchers go. I like Hunter Henry in deeper leagues. He's a good back end tight end too, with potential to skyrocket up there. Gates, old Methuselah, gets his last touchdown he needs and then retires. But as long as Gates out there, he's still a decent streaming option, or a low end tight end 1, high end tight end 2, because his touchdown appeal is still there. He's still huge and he still can box out and get touchdowns. And the chemistry that him and Rivers have is undeniable. And I just realized that Woodhead is no longer on the Chargers. So going back to the Ravens game real quick, I love Woodhead as PPR. I forgot about him on the team. And he probably has the highest upside out of all those running backs. So I am sorry I forgot about that. But Woodhead, you pretty much start every week until he gets hurt, because he's one of the best pass-catching backs. And they throw to the backs and tight ends, all that stuff, a shitload. Start Woodhead pretty much every week until he gets hurt. Back to this game. That's probably for Chargers. Their defense isn't great. I don't see why people are picking this team to make playoffs. I don't understand it. There's definitely some fantasy players there. The receivers are okay. I don't know what to expect from them. Tyrell Williams is probably the one you want to start every week. But until you see what they do, you pretty much grin and bear it if you guys start Rivers this week. Melvin Gordon you're starting every week. And the tight end, both tight ends are viable, but they're not sexy picks yet. If one gets hurt, then the other one obviously gets a huger uptick in value. Last game, not the last game because the Colts play at 4 o'clock on Sunday, but since it's on my list, it's last. Colts at the Rams, and wow, there's probably 2 players in this entire game that's worth starting, not counting defenses. First for the Colts, Tolzien starting. Tolzien's terrible. Don't start Tolzien. This is from a Colts fan who's watched pretty much every preseason snap he's taken with our team and every regular season snap. He's awful. I can only hope that Luck's back soon. If he isn't, that Jacoby Brissett is a very fast learner and starts by week 2. Tolzien is horrendous, has no upside. If he does well, more power to it. I'm rooting for the Colts to win, but I have no confidence in Tolzien. If you're starting Tolzien, you are in desperate straits, like someone I know. Isn't that right, Ricky? Anyway, Gore, old man Gore, man, he keeps getting the job done. He's still a decent pass catcher. He has absolutely no explosiveness left. He just falls over at this point. But he's one of the best pass blocker running backs in the league. One of the best guys picking up the blitz. You're starting him every week until the Marlon Mack show finally takes over, which I think will happen at some point this year. But Pagano is in love with Gore, so I see Gore getting a lot of work this year, and you start him while you can. He's going to get a lot of touches because Tolzien, in a perfect world, wouldn't throw a single pass, but, oh, God. Hilton, who is a surefire wide receiver 1 when Luck's in the game, is like a wide receiver 3 when he isn't. But it's not like Hilton gets carried by Luck. They're both very good. It's just that the QB play behind Luck has been so piss poor that Hilton doesn't have a chance. I mean, if you have Hilton, you're still starting him, but oh boy. You gotta lower your expectations with Tolzien out there. Moncrief, when Luck's out there, Moncrief is like a guaranteed touchdown machine, and if he can stay healthy. But with Tolzien out there, don't start Moncrief. You avoid him. Jack Doyle, I think, is a very good tight end for this year, especially in PPR formats, and especially with Tolzien out there. They're going to be dinking, dunking a lot. Doyle has a bunch of catches this week. Probably doesn't have a touchdown or a lot of yards, but PPR leagues, you're starting him. He's a good back-end tight end one. And I think he's going to have a really good year, especially with Dwayne Allen gone, and it's pretty much his show now. And Swoop is on, or Swope, is how you pronounce it, is on IR. And it looks like Aaron Donald's going to play this game, so even with that, who I think he carries that defense, it doesn't change my opinion on Tolzien. This is going to be an ugly game. Ugh. As far as Rams go, I think Goff will have a better year than last year, but that's not saying much because that was one of the most pathetic rookie seasons ever. And, even against the Colts suspect defense, who I think the Colts defense could be better than last year and better people think, but with their offense being so bad, I don't have high hopes for them, keeping them in many games. I'm avoiding Goff pretty much every week until he shows that he actually is worth the number one overall pick last year. So avoid him. Gurley, buy stock in him. In daily fantasy, he's a good play. You're going to be starting him pretty much every week anyway, but this is a great week to start him. I think our rush defense might be actually pretty good this year for the Colts, but you're still starting Gurley every week, and he's going to get a lot of touches this week. Watkins, I think, is a great player, can't stay healthy, and is tied to a bad, even worse quarterback situation now. Wait and see. With that entire receiving core, with him, Woods, and Cooper Kupp, wait and see. Wait and see until if Goff can take any steps, let alone the next step, and be a competent NFL quarterback. So I just start Gurley. As far as this game goes, you're starting Gurley, you're starting Doyle, you're starting Gore, and you're pretty much forced to start T.Y. Hilton. Other than that, woof. Rams defense, great streaming option, great pickup for this week. Even with Aaron Donald, it's Tolzien. That's all I got to say. And I believe that is it. This was a very long video, a lot longer than I expected it to be, but for being the first episode, I want to talk about pretty much every player on each team. Going forward, these videos are going to be shorter, probably around like a half an hour, but this is meant to be like a podcast. It's meant for you to be listening to in your radio or something on the way to work or something like that. So I know it's a long thing, but hey, if you want to talk about fantasy, if you want to hear someone talk about fantasy, has been doing it for a long time. I know I'm not professional or anything like that, but I'm just some guy that loves football and has been playing football or playing fantasy football for a long time since the freaking internet was basically invented. I'll be here hopefully every Wednesday. Hopefully I won't be getting a teeth pulled every goddamn Wednesday from now on, and I won't do it on Thursdays. But football season's here. Enjoy the first week. Good luck to all your fantasy teams, and that's pretty much all I gotta say. Once again, thanks for all the support. It means the world to me. The fact that my last video got over 100 views, I mean, it may not seem a lot to other people, but that means a lot to me. And just knowing that people will take even a second out of their day to even click on this video, if you only watch for a second, that means that's a lot. I mean, it means a lot. I eventually want to turn this into something big, a big YouTube channel, talk about sports. I feel there's not many sports channels on YouTube. It's mostly video games and movies and all that shit. So I eventually want to do more sports stuff, and I'm going back to work next week. I'll finally be able to make some more money. My back hopefully holds up, and I can get some better quality cameras and mic stuff and make this a little more professional. But I just want to say everybody's been along on the journey so far for this channel. I appreciate it a lot, and if you like this video or you like any video, hit that like button. It helps out a lot. Please subscribe, and you can turn on notifications you want. You'll get notified when I have a new video come out. If you don't have me as a friend on Facebook or whatever, so that way you'll be able to see it. And if you have any questions for future fantasy shows that you want me to answer or whatever, feel free to hit me up in here on the comment section below or on Facebook, whatever, and I'll try to answer them in fantasy episodes from now on. But that's a wrap. Almost a little under an hour for the first 4F episode. So thanks for anybody that stuck around this long. And once again, let's have a good football season. And I'll talk to you guys next time. Peace out.